Israel's parliament has given their initial approval to two bills that would extend Israeli law to the occupied West Bank, a move that's widely seen as a step towards annexation of the territory that Palestinians seek for a future state.
The following are the results of the vote: 25 in favor, 24 against. I determine that the bill by Representative Avi Maoz was approved in the preliminary reading and will be discussed in the Foreign Affairs and Security Committee in order to prepare it for the first reading.
The first of four votes needed to enact the bills came as U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance visited Israel just weeks after President Donald Trump declared that he would block any move by Israel to annex the West Bank. A second bill introduced by an opposition party and proposing the annexation of the Ma'ale Adumim settlement was approved with a vote of 31-9. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has cautioned that Israel's plan to advance bills applying sovereignty in the West Bank risks undermining the Gaza ceasefire deal.
That's a vote in there. Yeah, that's a vote in the Knesset, but obviously I think the president's made clear that's not something we'd be supportive of right now, and we think it's even threatening to the peace deal. So they're a democracy, they're going to have their votes, people are going to take these positions, but at this time it's something that we think it might be counterproductive.
Qatar has strongly condemned the Israeli Knesset's approval of two laws seeking to impose Israeli sovereignty over the occupied West Bank and a settlement. While Saudi Arabia has also condemned the Knesset's approval of the laws, describing them as violations, and reaffirmed its backing for a Palestinian state within the 1967 borders, with East Jerusalem as its capital. Well, Jordanian Foreign Ministry has called the move a flagrant violation of international law and a blow to the two-state solution. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's Likud party did not back the West Bank measure, which was introduced by lawmakers outside his governing coalition. The bill narrowly passed its preliminary vote, 25-24 in the 120-member parliament. Several lawmakers from Prime Minister Netanyahu's coalition, including members of the Jewish Power Party and the religious Zionism faction, voted in favor of the bill. The measure still faces a lengthy legislative process before it can become law. Coalition members have long urged Israel to formally annex parts of the West Bank, citing the territory's biblical and historical significance to the Jewish people. In 2024, the United Nations highest court ruled that Israel's occupation of Palestinian territories, including the West Bank and the settlements built over there, are illegal, calling for their withdrawal as soon as possible. But Israel maintains that the territories it seized during the 1967 war are not legally occupied, arguing that they are disputed lands. However, the United Nations and the vast majority of the international community consider them to be occupied territory. The United Arab Emirates, the most prominent Arab nation to normalize relations with Israel under the Abraham Accords brokered by Donald Trump during his first term, warned last month that any move to annex the West Bank would be a red line for the Gulf state. In a related development, Israeli settlers attacked Palestinian olive harvesters and activists in the occupied West Bank this week, injuring at least one woman seriously. The assault filmed at Tur Musaya comes amid growing concerns over escalating settler violence. With the olive harvest season underway, the UN and human rights groups are warning of rising risks for Palestinian farmers.